thanks for being in the last hour of the last day and for waiting for the, what do you say, broche de oro. Anyway, for the final closing. So what I'm going to do is tell a data storytelling story with Pharo. So the what is mixing prose, code, data, and visualization into a single cohesive artifact. The where is combining three places. So Hackbo, a local hacker space that we have over there, or the lessons from three places since 2010. The Information Science Department in the Javeriana University, where I work as a professor. So it's a place where we have like this mixture of several sciences, and it's a pretty interdisciplinary approach. So we're working with archival, collections, information management, knowledge modeling, library management, and also we are doing stuff in or testing La Chorrera in the Colombian Amazonas. So it's this place, this particular place in Amazonas. And what I'm going to do is to talk a little bit about the general approach, how we are doing this. And this is closer to what is called critical code and data literacy. And in that case, we are getting away of the Hello World intro to computational thinking. So we are not doing that. That's kind of the, I don't know how you translate that, but it's like the, yeah, this mima, mame, mima, this kind of, okay, let's start with syntax. It's like, no, we can have something better. So this is closer to what is called science and technology studies. What this field does is that it works with, I put a little bit bigger, is about like the intersection of two questions. How social, political, and cultural values affect scientific research and technological innovation, and how scientific research and technological innovation affect social, political, and culture. And the inspiration, the places where this kind of tradition starts, mix two places, scholarship and activism. So we have now like new books on this, critical data literacy, for example, 2023, critical data literacy, and of course some self-publishing experiments that we have done in the hacker space. Giving the grassroots communities possibilities to tell their own voices and publishing by themselves. So I am going to start with a particular example on an ongoing research project. It's this micro-wiki of the Amanecer la Palabra project. It's called the Dawn of the World. So it's about the linguistic revitalization of 4 languages in Amazonas, in the Colombian Amazonas, 4 tribes there. So I will just show you this wiki. It's loading. It's already preloaded over here. So this is the micro wiki. We have a lot of pictures and songs from the Amazonas. I'm just going to show you this one. Maybe it's the first one that this song is here outside of Colombia. So we'll just show you. Oh, just wait a little bit. Of course, the demo course. Oh, it's not loading. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty. Where? Yeah, this one. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, I will wait. But anyway, this is a song from the wise woman in the Amazonas. We are recording that, and we are putting this into these wikis. Let's wait. And the idea is to use. Well, anyway, it's not going to work, the demo course. Anyway, so the issue is that we have this micro wiki, and this micro wiki is done mixing several technologies. I will go to this more technical part. But we were approaching in 2019 at the university for the tribes in the people of the center in Amazonas, los pueblos del centro, and they offered us a collaboration proposal regarding cultural revitalization and preservation. So they saw the technical, let's say, the way that the technology were implemented in the Amazonas they said was another way of colonization, of cultural colonization. So it was about, I don't know, getting all the indigenous people in Facebook and in WhatsApp and taking Gmail, not about reconnecting with the roots and with their knowledge. So they want to have this more critical approach to how they use information and communication technologies to connect back with their traditions instead with the Facebook, I don't know, gossip. So we create this microwiki. This microwiki is multicultural and multilingual in the sense that has 4 indigenous languages of the people of the center: Bora, Muinaine, Okaina, and Witoto, 1 Romance language because it's done in Spanish, and 1 computational language that is Forest Smalltalk that is behind the way we process the information over here and store that information. And it's multicultural because the research peers are constituted by several people from several ways of life. For example, wise woman in the Amazonas, linguist, a bioacoustician, an informatician, mathematician, a philosopher, an audiovisual communicator, from the 3 departments also in our faculty that are languages, communication, and information sciences. Yeah, so we need to bridge the gap between several people from these several ways of knowledge. And the tech stack that we are using is pretty simple. It's just, so we have the front end, the middleware, and the back end. And we are using TiddlyWiki, this small wiki engine that I showed you. It's just a self-contained wiki engine in a single HTML file that can work pretty well offline. Fossil is a versioning system. Think like a GitHub in a box. Pretty small also. It works with versioning and with publishing in the web. And Pharo/GT is bridging these 2 things together. And they work in the 3 fronts, like in the front end, in the middleware, and in the back end. So the idea is to have this amplification through simplification. Only 3 technologies, all working across all layers, and Pharo GT connecting all that together via DSLs. We create this custom domain language to model what we are doing with these wikis over there, and via data stories like this one. So for example, in this story, I want to know what is happening. Like, yeah, this is something that I share with my co-researchers. And we are trying to map what is the new content that we're putting into the wiki, and what is the old one, the one that was before, because it's a wiki engine, so it needs to have previous titlers. It's called a unit of information. And once we have this, we also want to have this historic traceability of the evolution of the metadata and the data inside those places. So this is the other graph, trying to understand that. And this is done, and also, of course, versioning in Fossil. So this data story brings everything together and explain that to academicians, but not developers or technically minded people. Yeah, and it allows the wiki to work offline. So we put this into Internet Archive because we want to have a place that respects the wishes of the community regarding licensing and the way we put content outside the tribe. But we also need that to work offline. So the way we connect with the data, go to Internet Archive, download the data, package all that back into a self-contained wiki is done with this data story that my co-researchers can execute in their own laptops. And by the way, this behind is just this small format I showed you. It's a super light format with just markup, this superset of markup that I showed you showed your histories, your projects on Thursday. There are a lot of source code repositories that work across several activities. So we're working with data analysis and visualization, with data storytelling, publishing, and learning microsites, with versioning, collaboration, and packaging, and with external tools that are not inside the Pharo ecosystem. And we have these source code repositories that works across several fields and reach several task things, task-related, like ecosystems. And for the down of the world, we are using only 3 these repositories. Minidocs, that is the repository that allows you to publish and share data stories in this light markup language. TiddlyWiki Pharo, that is the one that connects Pharo with TiddlyWiki via JSON representation of the titlers. Fossil, that is the one related with versioning and connected with Fossil. And ExoRepo, that is the one that allows us to work with external repositories. Because in Iceberg, we have like a nice syntax for I don't know, GitLab and GitHub and yeah, like these big oligopolistic places, but if you have your own repository in a self-owned place, it's kind of more difficult to have a nicer syntax, so we're using that. And this has a curriculum impact because we want that future librarians and information scientists are able to use this kind or to create this kind of artifacts that bridge several people and are able to be deployed in communities. So what I do with my students is that I make them to develop student portfolios. The student portfolio is just a fossil repository with the data stories they create during the semester. And yeah, we have I can track the timeline of what they are doing. And we go from in this particular semester on the curriculum we are developing, the idea of going from the semantic web of the past that was about markup and aiding by hand metadata to the probabilistic semantics of large language model. And we do the critique to the AI because they are going to get the hype everywhere else. So we want to keep this critical approach of the critical science and data studies. So yeah, we have like this critical approach, and I present them other alternatives. For me, AI is what I call apparent intelligence. So I try to present this kind of alternative approach. And we are using Pharo and GT as an environment for those data narratives. So I introduce my students to these kind of ways of developing argumentation by combining prose, code, data, and visualization. And we, as I told you, we are kind of far away of the hello world introduction to computing. So we start by presenting live coding as a performative practice. We use music, like the one that Domenico presented to us. We use visualization with Rosa, like this way of interacting and being in a dialogue with the computer for performative practices. And we introduced the idea of meta tools and malleable systems. I will show you this. But the idea is that most of the people in the faculty and in the universities, they learn how to use tools, not meta tools, not tools to describe tools and to modify tools. So I try to introduce them quickly to this. So instead of, learning Jupyter and what you can do inside Jupyter, you learn a Pharo-powered system, and you learn how to traverse the system in a continuous way with a continuous language. And you start to modify the tool to suit your context instead of just learning to use it. So yeah, we have like this critique of other tools and the idea that we can have, instead of a single tool for multiple problems, kind of a more detailed tool for particular problems, and the tool as a bridge between capability and needs, and how it needs to fit the user and the problem. And we start to work on this idea of meta tools. And we introduce a practical example of a meta tool by using Pharo and Glamorous Toolkit. Then we do a motivational example that is this data narrative about how we can collect all the memories that we do in real time in the class, because we're writing using a Markdown real-time editor in the classes. And they learn how to recover these memories, how to manipulate them as an introduction to algorithmical thinking, but by using contextual documents and contextual tags that are like really suited to the activity that we do in the university. And then we do this introduction to syntax. This is our evolution of Prof. Steph. So we start with this old tutorial, and we create the notebook version of it with a lot of extra stuff. This notebook, they can import the notebook back to a Lepiter environment and execute this stuff and make notes on that stuff and publish that back into their own student portfolios. And we criticize the code that we wrote together. It's more like into critical writing. And finally, we end like by doing this task that is pretty close to information sciences and library sciences and archival, that is working on recovery, organization, and storage of information, in particular in the information that we develop during the semester. And for that, they do this final word. This is the final word of one of my students. So, oh, it's not linked. Oh. Okay, anyway, the idea is that you can see like they create this data narrative and they solve a particular problem that is super contextual and related with documentation, and they present this data narrative to the rest of the class, and we start to see how this works and if it is reproducible or not. And they publish this data narrative in their repositories, in the fossil repositories. They are pretty easy to see in the web because we use marlib, this like meta format or supra set of Markdown, so it's pretty available on the web, and we import that back into the Lepeter system and start to see, to execute this code snippets and to see if the argumentation holds, if it's able to do the task. So my students are kind of doing the same that I am doing for the Amazonian people, but in his undergraduate studies with simpler problems. And the idea is to have what I call a pocket infrastructure for apparent intelligence. So small stuff that is able to run in a pretty humble laptop that allows them to understand the simple context, the simple problem and the concepts. Because yeah, there is a lot of noise and requirements around AI, and we don't have those requirements in the Global South. So we need something that works with humble laptops and offline, and we try to introduce that. So I am porting some lessons and stuff that I am doing with Python, that I found with Python, to simple tool that we have in the Pharo AI project and related projects. So yeah, well, Pharo AI, it doesn't exist anymore as a single repository, but we use Polyglot, we use Pharo AI, the Polyglot booklet, and we start to port the lessons that are natively in Python, the introductory lessons, so they can understand this, but in a Pharo environment. So they have stuff like this. This is what we want to do in the future. I am preparing the lessons for the next semesters. And I think that this means that, in closing, I'm thinking that I am right on time, or maybe I was too fast. I don't know. Maybe we can leave some time for questions. But I think that we are like fighting or trying to get a complicated balance, because in the low level quotes, are air quotes, when we go low level, we don't go to the virtual machine or buy codes or stuff like that. We go to computing, like toolkits, APIs, like documentation formats. And when we go high level, we go to social practices, interculturality, curriculum. This is kind of the balancing pendulum we have over there. And that is it's a balance that we're trying to create. And I think that something that is happening that I am glad to see is that the Pharo community is being welcoming to strangeness in a way, because it's going beyond computing for the computing sake. So it's super cool to hear people, I don't know, talking about virtual machines and bytecodes and optimization and performance. That's super nice. I like it a lot. But there is also people who's doing strange things and sharing that with the rest of the community. So for me, seeing this Pharo small talk plus music plus agent modeling and community understanding and agency plus linguistic preservation, hacktivities, critical literacies is an important thing to see. More in a small community, a community that is getting into more topics to address different problems and concerns, and to express the ability that the people has around this stuff. So that's for me important. And so thanks for being this welcoming community to these kind of strange topics, and let's keep it that way. Thank you. Any question? Okay. Yeah, there is one over here.
Sorry.
Hi, thanks. I'm interested to know more about the fossil backend, what that does for you and how you use it.
Yeah, so I will try to show you. So this is the micro wiki. It's done in Tiddly wiki. We are using a hosting place that is called Tiddly Host. But in TiddlyHost, you have only like the last version of the wiki, kind of a little bit of historical copies, but not so much. So I created another repository, this one. And in this repository, you can see a representation of the wiki. But with the wiki Pharo, we're able to map, because the tilders, the units of information in TiddlyWiki, they are stored in JSON. But JSON is not pretty diff friendly, and we need to extend the representation for other purposes. So I create the data story that you see over here, the data story that is like, so this is a fossil repository, as you can see, is handling the storage of the information, the versioning, and also the publishing. I just click in a particular URL, and this creates the web version of the data story. So it's handling these data notebooks, but it's also handling the versioning of the tiddlers. So this, for example, I will show you with another one. For example, this one is the stone representation of this. But the issue is that when you export this into JSON, you have like this div-unfriendly format. So we create an alternative representation that is a native representation of the tiddlers that you can manipulate inside Pharo. So for example, over here, I am, I'll show you. Yeah, over here, I am doing the data narrative, and I am saying, okay, I'm going to import the wiki from the web. I am going to find all the tiddlers that has this property, and I'm going to color that tiddlers and to see the connections between tiddlers. All this is done inside Pharo. So it allows us to understand what is happening in the wiki, because it's difficult to do that inside TiddlyWiki. So data storing and versioning is happening in Fossil, and Fossil handles also the web publishing part. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.